What if I told you you didn't have to look in any religious texts to find a story of biblical proportions? You only have to look back a few years ago to January 10th, 2021, where I, even as a neutral fan, believed that if this could happen, then maybe anything could happen.
Last in the league in rushing. And they start with a horrible snap. End zone where they wind up with a touchdown.
In the land of football, on the banks of Lake Erie, lies a team that has been mocked, beaten, forgotten. A team whose fans have waited lifetimes for their moment. For decades, they've been the underdog, the dreamer, the David, trying to take down the mighty Goliath. The Cleveland Browns, a franchise that has been marked by heartbreak and tragedy, filled with 3 decades of emptiness. Since their return in the NFL in 1999, the Browns have been a symbol of suffering. A franchise that couldn't find a quarterback, couldn't find success, and couldn't find its place in a league of giants. But the heart of the Browns never stopped beating. Cleveland's faithful fans, also known as the Dog Pound, they never gave up.
Do you have any idea how low our expectations are? We don't expect you to win the Super Bowl. We just want you to look better than a Division III high school team.
But unfortunately for the Cleveland Browns, they shared a division with the Goliath of the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise whose name has echoed through the very halls of football immortality. 6 Super Bowl titles, legendary coaches, Hall of Fame players from Joe Green to Terry Bradshaw to Troy Polamalu to, in 2021, the old broken version of Ben Roethlisberger, but still a Hall of Fame quarterback. And they had built this empire of strength and legacy. The Steelers' success, it's written in the stone of football history. They're arguably the most successful franchise of all time, if not top 2 or 3, always being good, while the Browns always were kind of brown. Okay, that was a terrible transition. I was trying to do like a poop joke, and it didn't work. And the Steelers' success is written in football history as one of the most storied franchises of all time. This is why there's Steeler fans in every part of the country, because the Steelers have been good enough that their fans have grown up, had kids, and then they moved, and then their fans had kids, and then they moved. And then you have the Browns.
Here's what you have to understand. We don't even expect you to be good. We just want you to be watchable.
I'm fucking angry, son of a bitch! I'm fucking tired of fucking losing!
The 2020 season was a monumental year for the Cleveland Browns, as they ended their 18-year playoff drought and made their first postseason appearance since 2002. Under the coach Kevin Stefanski, the Browns finished the regular season with 11-5 record, and that marked their best record since 1994. I was 1 when that happened. So that tells you that it's been a long time since they've been good. The season was a breath of fresh air for the long-suffering fan base that had been facing so many years of disappointment. Now, how was the team successful? You had Baker Mayfield, who finished with 3,500 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. While Baker wasn't asked to carry the team with a heavy passing load, he did enough to keep the offense balanced, throwing timely touchdowns, and especially in important games. It finally seemed like the Browns had found their historic franchise quarterback. And it might not sound historic to you if you're the Steelers, who have, gone from, quarterback to good coach and over, but the Browns have had more starting quarterbacks in the last 15 years than the Steelers probably have had in their entire history. And I'm not even gonna look that up. I'm pretty sure that's true. In fact, I would bet money on it's true. But the Browns were really carried by their run game, which featured Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And the Browns finished with the season with the NFL third best rushing offense, averaging 148 yards per year. Myles Garrett on their defense was a game changer and ended up with 12 sacks and proved to be one of the best NFL premier edge rushers throughout the season. The Pittsburgh Steelers season started in 2020, kind of how you'd expect a Pittsburgh Steelers season to start. They went 11-0. However, for many, they were mocked as the worst 11-0 team in history. Now, I don't know about you. I would love to be the worst 11-0 team in history. Well, maybe foreshadowing, maybe not. They ended their season going 12-4, really kind of falling off the last few games. One other reason for those 3 or 4 losses was in Week 17, where the Steelers played the Browns. And the Browns needed to beat the Steelers in order to make it to the playoffs. But the Steelers didn't really have a chance to change their playoff seed too much, and so the Steelers were like, you can beat us, Browns. Now, if you're the Browns, this was super insulting, because if the Browns beat the Steelers, the Browns' reward for making it to the playoffs was facing the Steelers again. And so the Steelers basically said to the Browns, you are so little of a threat, we're not even going to try to knock you out. We're not even going to waste our energy to try to knock you out. And so the Browns beat the Steelers in Week 17 and to clinch a spot. And then the playoffs happened. And keep in mind, this was the first time in 18 years the Cleveland Browns had made the playoffs. And the Steelers have always made the playoffs, I feel like, in my lifetime. They haven't, but it feels like it. It really does. I don't know how they get away with it. This Mike Tomlin voodoo magic. Before we complained about the Chiefs and their voodoo magic, it was always the Steelers. And it still is the Steelers. But on January 10th, 2021, the Cleveland Browns, their first playoff game in nearly 2 decades, did something that even I could not believe what I was seeing.
Steelers dead last in the league in rushing. And they start with a horrible snap all the way back to the 2-yard line, and the Browns bounce it into the end zone where they wind up with a touchdown.
And on the first play from scrimmage, the ball flies over Ben Roethlisberger's head for a touchdown, and everyone is so confused because that's totally something that would happen to the Browns against the Steelers. Not the Steelers against the Browns, and then the next drive, the Steelers fumble the ball, which leads to this.
They're down at 4. Mayfield, quick throw, caught over the middle by Landry. Jarvis Landry inside the 10, and Jarvis.
There's 10 minutes still left in the first quarter, and the Browns are up by 14? That doesn't seem right, but then it leads to this.
Hunt stays in on first down. Kareem Hunt breaks a tackle. Kareem Hunt bulls him.
Which leads to this.
They scored their last touchdown. Does he get another here? He's around the corner. He's inside the 5. He's in the end zone again.
And
Connor.
And then the Steelers score, and oh no, we're all thinking, are the Browns gonna mess this up?
Mayfield to the end zone, wide open.
But no, they bounce back. They show some grit and score, and it's 35-7, and the Steelers put a field goal up on the board, and it's 35-10 at halftime. And everyone is wondering, what is going on? And the thing to keep in mind is that no one was rooting for the Steelers except for Steelers fans. That season, everyone was kind of done with the Steelers. They had started 11-0, but it never looked good. It never felt good. Ben Roethlisberger looked like an aged, old version of himself, and a lot of people didn't like Ben Roethlisberger to begin with. A lot of people don't like his personality. He has a checkered past. He has past accusations of sexual assault. He's not a person you want to root for. He's the villain. The Steelers are the villain in this story. And maybe they're not the villain in every story, but in this story, they were. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger had more wins in the Browns stadium than any single player on the Browns had had in their entire career when this game happened. And I need you to understand the context of what was happening then in the world for why this game was so important to so many. It was January 10th, 2021, which meant a couple of things. We were in COVID. We were deep in COVID, and numbers were skyrocketing, and people were dying and getting sick. And just 4 days prior, January 6th happened, and everyone was confused and scared, and we were wondering, what is going on? How can things be normal again? And then there on the screen, the Browns are up by 25 at half. And even though this isn't normal, it gives us hope that maybe something good could happen. We all just needed a win. But there was that sinking feeling in the pit of all of our stomachs was, how are the Steelers gonna pull this out? And how are the Browns gonna mess this up? So when this happened, and this happened, we all got scared. Was our dream going to die? No.
Second down and 10 here. Mayfield throws, Chubb makes the grab, gets some blocking, breaks tackles, and Chubb is going to go all the way to the end zone.
And at the end of the game, the Steelers put up a useless garbage time touchdown. The final score, 48-37, as the Browns celebrated their first playoff victory in decades. And everyone believed again that anything could be possible. I mean, this is the whole point of sports. And unfortunately, the week after, the Browns' dream ended when they lost to the Chiefs. But they only lost by 5 points. And they proved to everyone that they were the real deal, that they had made it that far. And that was the farthest they had made it in decades. Unfortunately, that's kind of where the Cinderella story for the Browns ends. They traded away their quarterback, got another quarterback, and arguably the worst contract of all time. And now the Browns are once again the laughingstock of the league. And the Steelers once again have found some BS way to use their magic to make it to the playoffs. But maybe that doesn't matter. Because in a time of unprecedented times, when the world was upside down, we needed something unexpected. Something truly momentous and shocking to believe that maybe, that sometimes the underdog can still win. And the underdog will still win. And that's the beauty of sports.
And listen, I know that there are way more important things in life than football, but you are supposed to be our pleasant distraction from those things.
First playoff road win since 1969.
Nice.
Let's go! Let's go, Lewis! Let's go. Let's go! Big Ben's like, yeah, this is my final game. Final 48-37.